23 horsepower doesn't sound like much. Today, some lawnmowers make nearly as much power. Yet one tiny car with just 23 horsepower became the dream of millions, sold more than 3 million examples, and helped motorize an entire nation. It was the Fiat 126, better known as the Maluch. This is the remarkable story of how one of the smallest cars ever built left one of the biggest legacies in automotive history. To understand why the Fiat 126 became such a phenomenon, we have to travel back to the late 1960s. Europe was changing rapidly. Cities were becoming increasingly crowded, parking spaces were shrinking, and millions of families were buying their first automobiles. The post-war economic boom had transformed everyday life, but many of the small cars that had helped motorize Europe were beginning to show their age. One of them was the legendary Fiat 500. Introduced in 1957, it had become a symbol of Italy's economic recovery, giving ordinary people affordable personal transportation for the first time. Yet by the end of the decade, expectations had evolved. Families wanted a little more comfort, better safety, improved practicality, and a car capable of keeping pace with modern traffic, all without becoming expensive to own. Fiat's engineers faced a difficult challenge. Building a larger car would increase production costs, fuel consumption, and ownership expenses. But simply continuing with the aging Fiat 500 wasn't an option either. Instead of starting from scratch, they chose a far smarter approach. They would preserve the mechanical simplicity that had made the Fiat 500 so successful, while redesigning almost everything else to make the car more practical for everyday life. It was an exercise in refinement rather than reinvention. When the Fiat 126 made its debut in 1972, many people assumed it was simply a modernized Fiat 500. Both cars shared a rear-mounted, air-cooled two-cylinder engine and compact dimensions. But beneath those familiar fundamentals, Fiat's engineers had carefully rethought nearly every aspect of the design. Designer Sergio Sartorelli replaced the Fiat 500's rounded, friendly curves with crisp, straight body lines that reflected the modern styling trends of the early 1970s. Although the new car remained just over 3 meters long, its boxier shape created noticeably more usable interior space. The roof sat higher, the windows were larger, and the upright seating position gave passengers more headroom, while improving visibility in every direction. Every centimeter of the body had been carefully engineered to maximize usable space without increasing the car's tiny footprint. This represented a fundamental shift in automotive thinking. Rather than chasing prestige through size, Fiat pursued efficiency through intelligent packaging. Every component had to justify its existence. Every kilogram mattered. Every square inch of cabin space needed a purpose. The result was a remarkably practical little car that felt far larger inside than its compact exterior suggested. Just as importantly, the Fiat 126 remained inexpensive to manufacture. Its simple construction kept production costs low, allowing millions of ordinary families to afford a brand new automobile for the first time. That affordability would become one of the greatest reasons for its extraordinary success, particularly in Eastern Europe, where the Fiat 126 would eventually grow into far more than just another economy car. For an entire generation, it would become a symbol of independence, opportunity, and everyday freedom. If the Fiat 126 looked simple from the outside, its greatest strength was hidden beneath the small rear engine cover. Unlike many manufacturers that embraced increasingly complex mechanical systems during the 1970s, Fiat deliberately kept the 126 remarkably straightforward. At the back sat an air-cooled 594 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing just 23 horsepower. 23 horsepower doesn't sound impressive today. Many riding lawnmowers produce similar power. Yet this tiny engine helped motorize an entire nation. Horsepower alone, however, tells only part of the story. Fiat's engineers understood something many manufacturers often overlooked. Performance depends just as much on weight as it does on power. The Fiat 126 weighed only around 580 kilograms, meaning its tiny engine had remarkably little mass to move. Rather than trying to overpower physics with a larger engine, Fiat simply reduced the amount of work the engine needed to perform. Every kilogram saved improved acceleration, fuel economy, braking, and handling all at once. The engine itself reflected a philosophy centered on durability rather than complexity. Because it was air-cooled, there was no radiator, coolant, water pump, or maze of hoses waiting to leak or freeze. During harsh Polish winters, owners never had to worry about frozen coolant. In hot summers, there was no radiator to overheat. Fewer components meant fewer things could fail, making the Fiat 126 one of the most dependable small cars of its era. Maintenance followed the same philosophy. Opening the rear engine cover exposed almost every major service item within easy reach. Spark plugs, ignition points, carburetor adjustments, valve clearances, and fan belt replacement could all be performed using little more than basic hand tools. Owners rarely needed expensive workshops or specialized equipment. Across Eastern Europe, weekend maintenance became a family tradition, with fathers teaching their children how to service the family car in apartment courtyards and home garages. Power reached the rear wheels through a fully synchronized 4-speed manual gearbox. The ratios were carefully selected for city driving, allowing the little engine to stay within its most efficient power band. Drivers quickly discovered that smooth gear changes and maintaining momentum were far more important than aggressive acceleration. Instead of rewarding brute force, the Fiat rewarded good driving technique. One of the car's greatest advantages became obvious during the fuel crises of the 1970s. While owners of large V8-powered automobiles watched fuel bills climb dramatically, Fiat 126 drivers simply kept going. The tiny two-cylinder consumed only a fraction of the fuel required by larger family cars, making it one of Europe's most economical vehicles to own. What had once seemed like a compromise suddenly looked like remarkable engineering foresight. The suspension was equally simple but surprisingly capable. Independent front suspension and a compact rear layout provided predictable handling while keeping costs under control. Because the car weighed so little, every component could be lighter without sacrificing reliability. Combined with direct steering and excellent visibility, the Fiat 126 felt perfectly suited to crowded city streets. Of course, nobody bought a Fiat 126 expecting sports car performance. Long motorway journeys demanded patience, steep hills required careful gear selection, and strong crosswinds constantly reminded drivers just how lightweight the car really was. Yet these characteristics became part of its charm. Owners accepted them because the Fiat excelled at the tasks it had been designed to perform. The real brilliance of the Fiat 126 was that it asked almost nothing from its owner. It didn't require expensive servicing, premium fuel, or complicated repairs. It started on cold mornings, squeezed into impossibly small parking spaces, carried groceries home, took children to school, and faithfully completed thousands of everyday journeys. For millions of families, it wasn't a luxury or a hobby. It was dependable transportation that quietly made daily life easier. The Fiat 126's greatest achievement wasn't its engine or its styling. It was the way it transformed everyday life. When Fiat signed an agreement with Poland to build the car locally, few imagined the impact it would have. Production began in Bielsko-Biała and Tychy, where it became the Polski Fiat 126P. For millions of families living behind the Iron Curtain, owning one meant far more than transportation. It meant independence. Soon, the little Fiat earned the affectionate nickname Maluch, meaning the little one. Small, humble, and unpretentious, it quickly became one of Eastern Europe's most recognizable automobiles. People didn't admire it for luxury or performance. They loved it because it was affordable, dependable, and always ready for another journey. Then came the moment every Polish family dreamed about. Buying a Fiat 126P wasn't as simple as walking into a dealership. Under the communist system, families often saved for years and then waited months, or even longer, for delivery. Receiving the keys became a milestone worth celebrating. Parents invited relatives, neighbors gathered outside apartment blocks, and photographs were taken beside a tiny car that represented years of sacrifice. For many children, their first family holiday, first trip to the countryside, or even their first glimpse of the sea happened inside a Fiat 126P. It wasn't unusual to see 4 adults, 2 children, luggage strapped to the roof, and camping gear somehow squeezed into a car barely 3 meters long. Looking at those overloaded little Fiats today seems almost impossible. Yet they crossed mountains, survived harsh winters, and carried families thousands of kilometers without complaint. Across Eastern Europe, the Fiat 126 became far more than a car. It became a symbol of hope, freedom, and opportunity. Its simplicity also inspired an entire generation to understand how cars worked. Weekend maintenance became a family tradition as owners changed oil, adjusted valves, tuned carburetors, and carried out repairs with little more than basic hand tools. Cheap spare parts and straightforward engineering made the Maluch one of the easiest cars to own and maintain, while enthusiasts transformed it into rally cars, beach buggies, pickups, and countless homemade specials. When the global oil crisis struck in 1973, the rest of the automotive industry rushed to build smaller, more efficient cars. Fiat didn't have to. The 126 had already been designed around lightweight construction, low fuel consumption, and maximum practicality. What once seemed like a basic economy car suddenly looked years ahead of its time. Production continued for nearly 3 decades, with gradual improvements keeping the design relevant. In 1987, Fiat introduced the 126 bis with a water-cooled 704 cubic centimeter engine, but the original air-cooled Maluch remained the version that captured people's hearts. When production finally ended in September 2000, more than 4.6 million Fiat 126s had been built worldwide, including over 3.3 million in Poland alone. Few automobiles have ever become so deeply woven into the identity of an entire nation.